Hello and welcome back, everyone. Flavor Friday on a Tuesday. Today we are going to be looking at the flavor for Korea Manchuria for the upcoming game with the codename Project Caesar. And so, without further ado, well, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another issue of our Tinto flavor. Is it an issue? Today we will be taking a look at the lands of Korea and Manchuria. Let's start first with Korea, or at this point in time, the Kingdom of Goryeo. Now, this of course is Roger, who neither wishes us a Flavor Friday on a Tuesday, nor a Happy Tuesday, nor is he mentioning Europa Universalis 5. This is curious, and also where's Pavia? This is curious because, or it's not curious at all, because we all know that the name of the game is actually not going to be Europa Universalis 5. You can wishlist it on Steam, but this is just an anagram. They are obviously making all of this sort of advertisement and doing this media push and this type of thing. All of this is to throw you off the trail. Wake up, sheeple. The name of the game, it's obviously an anagram of Europa Universalis 5. It's obviously going to be Pure Saliva Souvenir. This is a much more reasonable name for a game, especially one that is a sequel to Europa Universalis 4. That is a Pure Saliva Souvenir. But let's get back into the flavor of, a little bit of a souvenir for ourselves. The flavor of Korea Manchuria. Let's click to expand and say, after the national unification achieved by Goryeo dynasty, the glorious formation of the eponym Kingdom of Goryeo brought a golden period of prosperity and unprecedented unity of its people. Now, going into this, I'd like to say that I have played the game, and we have played Korea, or Goryeo. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, quite a bit, so I'm pretty excited for this one as far as flavors go, because we got to see it from the inside quite a bit. Even after bending to the Emperor Borjgin Kublai, is that Kublai Khan? Goryeo continues to be an important power both because of its highly educated population and powerful navy. We really got to experience this in a game where, leveraging our navy, we were able to fight someone who was way, way, way stronger on land in Ming, and we had a slightly stronger navy all throughout, and so we were able to defeat them, largely because they didn't have military access through Yuan to get to us, but even if they did, I think there was like one occasion on which Yuan was beating us on the land, and it was just because of our navy and the combination of navy and forts, which allowed us to defend. Where the forts would hold them off, and then with the navy we would just cut behind Yuan's lines and cut their food lines and this type of thing. Now the winds of change are blowing. Oh no. As the corruption of the Buddhist ideals and the revolutionizing ideas of Neo-Confucianism are changing minds all over the country. Will Goryeo transform into the strongest soldier in Yuan's army, or will it break free from the shackles that dictate the future? We did the latter. And Goryeo in particular, the land there is probably the most resource-dense imaginable. We went over that in the Tinto map, so we won't talk about it too much, but it's just very, very resource-rich, and so it's very powerful. It starts with some reforms and privileges that it does, including one of these, or two of these, that increase the number of privileges you can have. If I recall correctly, none of these privileges that they start with are particularly bad. Some nations start with ones that give minus control. Some nations start with multiple ones that give minus control, and these tend to be quite punishing because it takes like 90 to 100 stab to revoke them, and then when you go into negative stab, you'll be getting a ton of negative estate satisfaction, which will make your people unhappy, so this will make it easier for rebels to spawn. But even without the rebels spawning type of stuff, your people being unhappy means you can tax them less, generally speaking, or you just want to drive down their satisfaction even lower. This type of stuff, because if you're taxing to hit an equilibrium of 50, and you're you just have 50 in terms of your target satisfaction, you're not going to be able to tax them at all. And so this is a really kind of expensive and important consideration when it comes to looking at your starting reforms. If there's one you can't tolerate, like the -5 control one, then you're probably going to have to getting rid of it's going to be a very large investment. It's going to texture the first 10 to 50 years of your run, probably. Of course, we have this unique one, son-in-law rule, shout out to son-in-laws, which gives, first of all, +1 government reform, so it's a freebie. Can only marry Overlord dynasty members, yes. Can forbid marriage with lowborn, yes. Maximum tax for noble estate +20%. Loyalty to Overlord +50. And so this is for us, which is our loyalty to the yuan. Maximum tax for noble estate, I think, is fairly solid. But we don't like the other stuff as much, and has upgraded Sun Law rule via strengthened ties to the Mongols event. So if you strengthen ties to the Mongols, we didn't go this route, we broke ties with the Mongols instead, and so it's not, we are less familiar with this, but Noble's Power plus 50%, not that bad because of how the math works out. Monthly Diplomats minus 0.1, Administrative Efficiency minus 20%. These look like a lot of red numbers, because they are, but in truth, this isn't really that bad. I still think, well, we didn't end up going this route, but, because I think you want to break from yuan for other reasons. But this is... Actually, I think you still get, like, semi-independence or independence. Yeah, these aren't too bad. Monthly Diplomat's kind of a little bit annoying. Administrative Efficiency, if you're engaging in long-term plans and you're not shuffling around your cabinet members and reforms a lot, administrative efficiency doesn't really do too much, so as far as I can tell. It also has some unique laws. The Gorian Code, shout out. This is a policy of the legal code law, which gives administrative efficiency and monthly progress towards centralization. Progress towards centralization is kind of... it's one that you want to get just over the cusp. You have to, so you're plus 0.01 towards centralization, that way you can slowly bring it up with events. But if you can stack enough centralization, without that, you have a really powerful tool in cabinet actions. Like, let's say you start with 50 decentralization, right? But you can stack up to 20 progress towards centralization, or 30 progress towards centralization. You can use the cabinet action to move your value in that direction, and get like another 30, which means the cabinet action of move your values in a direction kind of has like two usages. I feel like one is moving you from one side to the other. So if you are decentralizing, it moves you to centralizing. But the other is if you have a decent chunk towards centralizing, but you start out decentralized, using the cabinet action to push you that way quickly can be quite useful. Because if we, for example, are at 30 or 0.3 towards centralization, but we start with 50 decentralization and we use the cabinet action, and the cabinet action gives us somewhere between 30 and 40 progression, let's call it 40. Now we're getting 0.7 instead of 0.3 per monthly tick. And so over the course of a year, we are going to be able to generate, let's see, 0.8 times 12 or what have you. We're going to be able to generate quite a bit of progress, or 0.7 times 12. We're going to be able to generate around 8 progress towards centralization per year. So over the course of, over the course of time, we could actually push centralization a lot in a little bit more of a passive way. And so I'm not sure we experienced that with Korea, where we had enough progress towards that, where we wanted to use the cabinet action. I think we used cabinet action to trend towards innovative, but that's just kind of like something to maybe keep in mind. We have unique advances. Max literacy. Max literacy is going to be good. It's going to help with research. And Korean artisanry can invest in culture. This is an Age of Traditions tech, so you can start out the game being able to invest in culture and being able to work the artists. So you can start getting a little bit ahead on this. Generally, the investment is relatively low in terms of the money, and so having these slots is useful to starting to develop your cultural tradition and also influence. I think it's having a bunch of works of art is a little bit better for tradition, and having a bunch of ticking positive modifiers is a bit better for influence. So having a bunch of theaters is good for influence, and so this is going to help you with tradition, I think more so than influence, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We get fortresses of the Goguryeo. Oh, is it Goguryeo or is it Goryeo? Okay, but fort defense plus 20%, fortification maintenance minus 10%. Fortification maintenance is definitely an interesting one. Anything that's a discount modifier, you have to think about, okay, what happens when I stack this? If you can find multiple sources of fortification maintenance reduction, then that is going to be something that you're maybe interested in, but also you could technically stimulate the economy if you can get enough of these, quite a bit, because your forts create buy orders, and if you don't actually have to pay for those buy orders of goods, because you can stack enough fortification maintenance. This allows you to stimulate the industries without needing to spend money, which is kind of an interesting thing. We used a few forts. The forts were like critically important, but we didn't really need a lot of them because it's really just at the top of the peninsula where you have like land borders. We have metal movable type, monthly literacy 0.01%. I don't really think that, as long as this modifier is positive and is like somewhat reasonably large, I don't think it's going to be that important, because you're eventually just going to hit your cap and then you're going to be stuck there. So monthly literacy is a little like prosperity, where it's really important to have a little bit of it, but I think base monthly literacy might just be good enough, but this isn't something we've looked at really closely. Maybe this is a little bit better. As far as unique buildings, we have the Korean barracks, and this is one of the reasons why we didn't go for the barracks tech in what is it, the Age of Renaissance, which I think in retrospect was a mistake. I think we should have just gone for it, but it gives us monthly manpower +5. You can build one of these, I think, in Korean core territories or something like this is the requirement. It doesn't say that that's the requirement. I think it just has to be in core, and it has to be town or city. But being able to recruit units and generate manpower without a barracks building, or without needing to specifically go out of your way to get one, is going to be quite nice. I think you probably need majority Korean. There's also Jurchen barracks for the Manchurians, yeah. We have Korean gunnery land defense, which is going to give hostile attrition +3, maximum attrition +3, fort defense +25%. This has to be built on top of an already existing fort, so you can't just build this independently, which was a little bit... Oh, are they not showing? They have one of these for the ocean as well, and we were pretty happy to use that to help generate maritime, because it gave like a little bit of maritime presence, but then you needed forts for it, so it's mainly... we didn't really want to spam forts on every single one of our coastal provinces, because that seemed like a high investment for a little bit of maritime relative to building ships. But we built a few of the naval defense ones in key areas. But there is a naval defense version of this as well. And it's mutually exclusive with, yeah, this is the naval one, Korean gunnery coastal defense. We have the Hwa, which, of course, I feel like Pavia gives us the description at the end of what the difference is. I think the difference between the Hwacha and the normal cannon is that it moves faster. A little bit faster. I think that's the main difference, but I'm not exactly 100% sure, not being able to look at it at the same time. But if it is that it moves faster, this is kind of nice with the strategy we were executing with Korea, which was... dodge fights on land if you're weaker, and just cut supply lines by using superior, movement speed that's facilitated by your navy. So you just load them up on ships and then load them out. We did quite a lot of, when our opponent advanced into Korea, we would not only cut their supply line, we would also just navally land on like the complete other side of China, and then just start assaulting forts, and there was no defense over there, or if there was defense, we would just load back up on the ship. And so having cannons that move a little bit faster is going to be useful for that. We have the Sion turtle ship. I'm trying to remember where this is located on the tree. I think this is not, the turtle ships were generally not in the military portion of the tree, which is quite a convenient thing if you didn't want to really push into them. I think they're either the Diplo or admin section. I can't remember exactly how they're better, but they are better than their alternative. And so having a unique galley, especially in the region, if you take a look at the map, a lot of it is maritime terrain that is going to benefit from galleys, and it's not going to be the case that you need to have the big heavy ships, and so this is going to be pretty useful to have one of these. Coming down, there's some events related to the relationship between Korea and China, the Mongol rule. In the gruesome year of 1231, 123 1. The Mongols started their 39-year-long struggle with the Goryeo people. Over the years, the resources and manpower of Goryeo were no longer able to withstand the invaders, and the beloved kingdom fell, becoming a vassal to the Great Yuan dynasty. Ever since, Mongol aristocrats have become a common sight in key positions of rule in our government, dictating the politics and policies in the state and forcing the son-in-law rule over the state. But no empire prevails forever. Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Shout out to Carthage. And so, time itself knocks back on the Yuan. Its inevitable downfall at hand, and yet will never truly be free from the, which is my favorite. We chose to break free and kind of take events that would move us in this direction. Like this one, we took a hostile stance towards them. If we remove all of the Mongolian Yangban characters from the country, we were able to remove the son-in-law rule, so we did get rid of it. And then what will happen to us without Mongol guardians? We will take a more pro-Yuan stance. We did not choose this option. And of course, there's an event for the rise of Zhejiang. I have no idea how to pronounce this, but we didn't see this event. We have King Wang Chungsuk. I think one of the comments of my videos mentioned how the name of the starting king is his posthumous name instead of his alive name, but something like this. But the regime of this Mr. Chungsuk has proven dissatisfying as the populace. Goryeo itself rejects the king and seeks out I apologize, I can't pronounce the Korean stuff. A promising general who has gained popularity of the Yangban and Sangmin alike, Sangmin of course being the peasants. Today he has struck an army and initiated a coup against King Chungsuk. We didn't actually see this at all, so this is a little bit interesting. I wonder if this has to do with if you spike a coup, and we just never had a low enough stability / legitimacy in order to spike a coup in order to get the formation of this. And so maybe this is something we could have leaned into. We could choose to condemn them to a life of rebellion, or to accept the rise of a new dynasty given the new name and flag. So maybe we should have done this. But, and of course there are many other interesting historical events, like the king falling off a horse. I think we did see this one. It was a day like any other. The king was out hunting, saddled on his horse. Everything was proceeding smoothly, as it always does, until the royal mount, until it didn't. And then until the royal mount suddenly stumbled, throwing the king across the ground in a truly spectacular fashion. He was of course accompanied by his court, including the chief chronicler. It is only customary for this to be recorded in the veritable records of Zhejiang. However embarrassing it must be. The king would prefer that this event not be included, however. Yeah, I think we saw that one and we had a good chuckle. Let's now move on to Manchuria and the Jurchen tribes. Okay, let's do that. The Jurchen people that inhabit Manchuria are divided in diverse groups, including the Jianzhou, the Haixi, and the wild Jurchens that have different lifestyles. Some are hunter-gatherers, others are pastoralists, but mostly sedentary agriculturalists. Interesting. There's not a lot of dev in their locations. Chinese officials have divided the Jurchen based on proximity and characteristics. The Jianzhou Jurchens near the Mudan River have adopted Chinese habits. Haixi Jurchens have nomadic sedentary tribes along the Haixi River, and Yeren or wild Jurchens in sparsely populated North Manchuria rely on hunting and agriculture. Influenced by neighboring dynasties, these Jurchen have chiefs paying tribute to hold nomad posts and commanders of border guards. As commanders of border guards. Okay. Traditionally, the Jurchen have been divided into 3 types, and this is represented with 3 different government reforms. We have the food production, progress towards centralization, progress towards citizenized. These are the ones that are living like the Chinese. We have the Haixi Jurchen, which are the nomadic ones that are living by the river. Cavalry maintenance cost minus 10%, cavalry build cost minus 25%. Again, with any discount modifier. Specifically, the maintenance one is probably the more important. If you have multiple sources of this can get really strong. Smaller progress towards synthesized. And then we have the Yeren Jurchen, which gives progress towards synthesized. I almost said uncivilized. Unsynthesized. And then we have declare war cost minus 10%, stab investment plus a little bit progress towards traditionalists. They have some advances available to all of them. Mounted people, cavalry power plus 20%, and unlocks other regiments. And here we have the Jurchen barracks building we were referring to earlier, which I do believe has to be built in their culture. But interestingly, this could be built in rural areas, so that's significant, but a lot less monthly manpower than the Korean building, which is only +2. The Korean building doesn't have an enormous amount of manpower though, and you can only build one level of it in a location. There's not the blue up arrows indicating that you can build multiple levels. We have Jurchen honor, which gives army morale plus 15%. Okay. We have Unite the Tribes, which gives antagonism received minus 10%. I think antagonism received, if they make stronger the effects of having antagonism on you, this is going to have a particularly strong bite here. Or is going to be a very strong modifier, especially if you can, of course, stack it with discount modifiers. And then they have the Manchu script. Now, this is available in Age of Absolutism and gives cultural influence plus 0.1. I guess I have to take a closer look at this. I don't know if this is cultural influence per location. If it's cultural influence per location, then this is really strong. But if it's just flat 0.1, I think you could get like... I forget how much you get from theaters, but you get flat amounts from buildings and this type of stuff, and being able to spam the buildings kind of makes it so that this amount of cultural influence is maybe not really particularly substantive. I think you get some from universities too. I have to look at the number though. Maybe this number is just huge enough that it doesn't matter. But let's say it's 0.005 for a theater. You build 20 theaters, that's the same as this tag, right? Something like that. Another mechanic available to them is the special type of international organization called the Jurchen Confederation, representing a somewhat banding together of different tribes responding to a single authority on matters while still maintaining total autonomy in most. At the start, there are 3 Jurchen Confederations present, the Jianzhou, the Hulan, and the Changbaishan. Okay, so I guess this is one confederation of 2. This is another confederation. Oh, I guess this is the leader plus the members, because we can see there's a stronger divide here. We didn't really notice this, we just kind of subjugated the people in the north, but this makes a lot of sense. There were kind of some loosely tied together, yeah, okay, this makes a lot of sense. We just noticed that there were like particular blocks that seem allied together, and this kind of comports with that. I think we subjugated all of the Jurchen people when we were playing Korea, but we conquered them and then released them rather than vassalizing them directly. Jurchen confederations have laws, some of them centered around structures and operations of the confederation with an on an internal level, and others deal with how the confederation interacts with the outside world. We have the administration law, where we can do tribal administration or syncretized administration. Unification law, bid for unification, delegated authority. Clan diplomacy law, no embassies, clan embassies allow Chinese embassies. Interesting. As one would expect, unifying all the Jurchen tribes will lead to the possibility of forming a new identity, where we can form Manchu, which is going to be... are they going to be a horde? I don't know. The horde mechanics are weird. We didn't play enough with them to really comment on them. But okay, it's a tier 3 formable country, so maybe you could do something with that. When formed, or maybe there's a tier 4 after that, it will trigger a following event with an option to choose the name for the country, the later Jin. A few centuries ago, the Jurchen origins, the Jin dynasty. A few centuries ago, dynasty of Jurchen origins, the Jin dynasty, managed to achieve great success by their vast conquests of North China. Though they were unable to fully claim custodianship over the Middle Kingdom, they were nonetheless able to fend off invasions from the southern Song dynasty, and perhaps could have achieved major success if not for the invasion of the Great Mongol Horde. Perhaps, as a powerful Manchurian state of Jurchen origins, we could take on that name. We could do Jin, or we could do Manchuria. Okay. And proclamation of the Qing. And of course, when managing to conquer China, you'll get another event with the option of proclaiming a new dynasty. Of course, they did... my history is maybe not good enough in here, but my understanding is that the Qing dynasty was Manchu, and so it makes sense very much that you can make Qing. here. At last, we finally managed to take control over the Mandate of Heaven and the Middle Kingdom. As is the custom, we shall adopt a new name for the dynasty, and chieftain Fanka Kaiyuan shall be vested the Son of Heaven. For the name of the dynasty, the name of Qing has been chosen, meaning clear and pure. However, the symbolism of this gold does not disappear with the proclamation. Our flag will still remain golden. The golden wind blows. We do not need any of that. And you can make the Qing Empire. I think someone was posting on Reddit that there's, relative to the initial feedback, there's way more of those tiny little tribes down there, or tiny little playable tags that start under Yuan. And so there is going to be that. Looks like Sakhalin has been... I forget what the starting status of Sakhalin is, but they have unified China under the Jurchen. And that's all for today, although there's much more in-game for you to discover. See you back tomorrow where we'll be talking about the mechanics of Shinto and the Shogunate, and then we'll see you then. Wait, we'll be back tomorrow. Man, how do I read see you tomorrow? That looks nothing like see you tomorrow. But no Happy Tuesday. No Flavor Friday on a Tuesday. Terrible. But they do remind us to wishlist Europa Universalis 5, which everyone recognizes as an anagram for Pure Saliva Souvenir. This is going to be the real name of the game. This is just, a psyop. You guys need to wake up. But before you wake up, or I guess after you wake up, or whatever order you choose, if you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing. We had a fun time playing as Korea. Korea, really strong resources, this type of thing. So, probably actually just going to be kind of a standard fun start. But other than that, all that, you guys have a good one.